Welcome to English in Action, the podcast that helps you learn English in a fun and practical way. I'm Avery.
And I'm Bella. It's great to be with you all today.
It is. So, Bella, what are we talking about today?
Today, we're covering a topic that everyone needs, whether you're a beginner or an advanced learner.
Oh, that sounds important.
It is. We're talking about introductions, how to introduce yourself, and how to introduce other people.
That's such a fundamental skill. The first words you say to someone new can really set the tone.
Exactly. We'll go over formal and informal situations, useful phrases, and some common mistakes to avoid.
Right. So, by the end of this episode, our listeners will be able to introduce themselves confidently in any situation.
That's the plan. Let's get started.
Okay, so first things first. Not all introductions are the same. You wouldn't introduce yourself to your new boss the same way you'd introduce yourself to someone at a party.
That's a great point, Avery. We need to think about the situation or the context. Is it formal or informal?
Right. Formal and informal. What exactly do we mean by that?
Well, a formal situation is usually more serious or professional. Think about a job interview, a business meeting, or meeting a professor at your university.
Okay, so more professional settings.
Exactly. In these situations, you want to use more polite and structured language. For a greeting, you could say hello, or good morning, good afternoon, or good evening, depending on the time of day.
Simple and classic. What about giving your name?
You'd typically use your full name. For example, hello, my name is Bella Rossi. It sounds more complete and formal than just, I'm Bella.
My name is Bella Rossi. Yeah, that does sound very professional.
And after you both say your names, a great phrase to use is, it's a pleasure to meet you.
It's a pleasure to meet you. I like that. It's warm, but also very respectful.
It is. Another very formal but a bit old-fashioned phrase you might hear is, how do you do?
That one can be tricky for learners.
It really can, because it sounds like a question, but it's not. How do you do is just another way of saying hello. The correct response is just to say, how do you do, back to them.
So if I say, how do, you say,
how do you do? It's like a special handshake in words.
Right. So that's formal. What about informal situations?
Informal situations are more relaxed and casual, like meeting a friend of a friend, being at a party, or just starting a conversation with someone at a coffee shop.
Got it. So no, good afternoon. My name is Avery Peterson at a party.
Probably not. It would sound a little strange. For informal greetings, you can use hi or hey. They're much more common and friendly.
Hi, hey. Simple.
And for your name, you can just say, I'm Bella. Using just your first name is usually enough.
Hi, I'm Avery. Easy.
Yep. And instead of it's a pleasure to meet you, you can say something more casual, like nice to meet you or good to meet you.
Nice to meet you. That's definitely what I use most of the time.
Me too. It's friendly, simple, and perfect for almost any everyday situation.
So, to recap, formal for professional settings with phrases like, hello, my name is, and it's a pleasure to meet you.
Right. And informal for casual, everyday settings with phrases like, hi, I'm, and nice to meet you.
Now that we know the difference between formal and informal, let's talk about the actual steps of introducing yourself. It's pretty simple. It's usually a greeting, then your name.
Right. And sometimes you can add a little extra information to help start the conversation.
Conversation starter. I like that. What kind of extra information?
It could be where you're from, what you do, or why you're at a particular place. For example, hi, I'm Bella. I'm a friend of Sarah's, if you're at a party.
That makes sense. It creates a connection. Or, hello, I'm Avery. I'm here for the 9 a.m. interview.
Exactly. That little piece of information gives the other person something to respond to. It makes the conversation flow more easily.
Okay, I think we should try this out. How about we do a little role play?
Great idea. Let's set a scene. Imagine we're at a casual language exchange meetup. We don't know each other. You start.
Okay, I'll come over to your table. Hi, is this seat taken?
Oh, no, it's free. Please have a seat.
Thanks. I'm Avery, by the way.
Nice to meet you, Avery. I'm Bella.
Nice to meet you too, Bella. Is this your first time at this meetup?
See, that was perfect. You gave your name, I gave mine, and then you asked a simple question to keep the conversation going.
Exactly. The question is key. It shows you're interested in talking more.
Okay, my turn to set a scene. Let's try something a bit more formal. We are at a business conference. We're both waiting for a presentation to start. I'll start.
Okay, I'm ready.
Good morning. I don't think we've met. My name's Bella Rossi.
Good morning. It's a pleasure to meet you, Bella. I'm Avery Peterson.
It's a pleasure to meet you too, Avery. Are you enjoying the conference so far?
Yes, I am. The keynote speech this morning was very insightful. What company are you with?
And scene. That felt very professional.
It did. We used our full names, said it's a pleasure to meet you, and asked questions related to the professional context.
That's the key. The extra information and the follow-up questions should match the situation.
What you do, where you work for a conference.
Right, and what you're studying or what class you're in if you're at school. It's all about context.
So we've mastered introducing ourselves. But what happens when you're with a friend and you meet another friend? You have to introduce them to each other.
This social connector, that's an important role. It can be awkward if you just stand there and don't introduce them.
So awkward. So let's talk about the phrases we can use. Just like before, there are formal and informal ways.
Let's start with formal. How would you do it?
In a very formal setting, you might say, Mr. Smith, I'd like to introduce you to Miss Jones, or may I introduce Miss Jones? You often use titles like Mr., Miss, or Doctor.
I'd like to introduce you to. That sounds very polite.
It is. A good rule is to say the name of the person you want to show more respect to first. For example, if you are introducing your friend to your professor, you would say, Professor Davis, I'd like to introduce you to my friend Sarah.
That's a great tip, addressing the person of higher status first.
Exactly. What about informal situations, Bella?
Those are much easier and more common. You can simply say, Sarah, this is Tom. Tom, this is Sarah.
The classic A, this is B, B, this is A formula. Can't go wrong with that.
Nope. You can also say, Sarah, have you met Tom? It's a nice, friendly way to do it.
Have you met Tom? I like that one. It feels very natural.
Yeah, and after you introduce them, it's helpful to add a little piece of information to connect them, just like when you introduce yourself.
Right. Give them a starting point for their own conversation.
Exactly. So I could say, Sarah, this is Tom. We work together. Tom, this is Sarah. We went to college together.
Perfect. Now they know how you know each other, and they can ask questions about work or college. You've made it easy for them to start talking.
It's all about making people feel comfortable. It really is.
Okay, so we've covered introducing yourself and introducing others. Now let's talk about the other side, how to respond when you are introduced to someone.
Yes, the response is just as important. The simplest response is to say, nice to meet you too, or you too.
If someone says, it's a pleasure to meet you, what's the best reply?
Good reply would be, it's a pleasure to meet you too, or simply, you too. You mirror the level of formality.
Mirroring formality. That's a good way to think about it.
But you don't want the conversation to end there. Nice to meet you too, and then silence.
Awkward silence, the worst.
The worst. So after the initial nice to meet you, you should try to ask a question to get the conversation going.
This is something a lot of learners worry about. What should I say next?
It doesn't have to be complicated. You can ask simple questions based on the context. If you're at a party, you could ask, so how do you know Mark, assuming Mark is the host?
That's a good one. It's a natural question. Or if you're in a new class, you could ask, what are you studying?
Exactly. Or you can ask more general questions like, so what do you do? Meaning, what is your job?
What do you do is a very common one. Another one is, where are you from? People often like talking about their hometown.
They do. The key is to ask open questions. These are questions that can't be answered with a simple yes or no.
Right. So instead of, are you enjoying the party, which could be just a yes, you could ask, what do you think of the music here?
That's a much better question. It invites a longer answer and a real conversation. Remember, the goal of an introduction is to start a connection with someone. Asking questions is the best way to do that.
It shows you're interested in them.
Precisely.
Before we wrap up, let's quickly touch on a few cultural notes for introductions, especially in places like the United States or the UK.
Good idea. Body language is important.
Very. In most professional or formal settings, a firm handshake is common when you introduce yourself. Not too hard, not too soft.
And make eye contact. It shows confidence and that you are paying attention. It's polite.
Yes, eye contact is key. And a friendly smile always helps, in both formal and informal situations.
Definitely. It makes you seem approachable. Now, what about common mistakes? We already mentioned one, the how do you do confusion.
Right, remember, the answer to how do you do is how do you do. It's not a question about your well-being.
Exactly. Another common mistake is speaking too fast. When you say your name, say it clearly and not too quickly, especially if your name is difficult for English speakers to pronounce.
That's a great tip. You want people to remember your name, so make it easy for them.
And finally, don't forget to listen. Pay attention to the other person's name. It's a common problem for everyone, not just language learners.
I'm guilty of that sometimes. You're so focused on what you're going to say that you don't hear their name.
We all are. A good trick is to repeat their name right after they say it. Nice to meet you, Avery. It helps you remember it.
That's a good one. Nice to meet you, Bella. See, it works. But what if you try that and you still forget their name a few minutes later? That's always so embarrassing.
All right, that was a lot of great information about introductions.
I think so. Let's do a quick recap. First, think about if the situation is formal or informal and choose your words carefully.
Right. For formal, use hello, my name is, and it's a pleasure to meet you. For informal, hi, I'm, and nice to meet you works great.
When you're introduced to someone, remember to ask questions to keep the conversation going.
And don't forget a firm handshake, eye contact, and a smile.
That's everything. We hope this helps you feel more confident the next time you have to introduce yourself in English.
That's all the time we have for today on English in Action. Thanks for listening.
Join us next time for more tips on learning English. Bye for now.
Goodbye.